So very good evening to all of you. My friends and scholars, welcome back. We will continue from where we left last Thursday. We had a very good session. Just to give a recap of what happened on Thursday for the benefit of Honorable Ambassador. We had Jane Robbins, the political officer of political section of the U.S. Embassy to India, who in his special address actually talked about the emerging scenarios in the U.S. Which they are currently working on to strengthen the Indo-Pacific theater. So actually, he emphasized on various aspects like strengthening the people-to-people connect, measures to strengthen private sector participation, importance of cybersecurity, climate change, and the partnerships for vaccinating the world. In fact, the U.S. government is giving importance to strategic economic and as well as the security partnerships within and across the Indo-Pacific. We then had a master session from Admiral Sunil Lamba, who is the chairman of National Maritime Foundation and also former chief of naval staff. And he spoke on the emerging scenarios that are actually impacting the Indo-Pacific cooperation. So he emphasized that the technological shift from the west to the east is leading to a lot of changes in the international relations. In fact, both in the economic and security matrix. So it is this shift that is giving immense significance to the geopolitical politics in the Indo-Pacific theater. So he also emphasized that the Quad is a non-defense and non-military group, and the signing of AUKUS being a new brings the new capabilities to the entire Indo-Pacific theater. There are many other aspects of development of cooperation that he spoke about, like vaccine, infrastructure development, supply chain, technological cooperation, climate change, besides others. We then had Professor Rajdeep Pakanati, who was the Associate Professor of Jindal School of International Affairs, OP Jindal Global University, whose session was talked about the international legal order during the power transition. So we see that there are a lot of powers transition happening across the world. So how the entire space is getting changed from the perspective of legal perspective, he talked about. Basically, he elaborated on a rule-based international order, which he actually calls a liberal order, that included multilateral legal frameworks like WTO, UN frameworks, and UN CLOS frameworks, besides various climate change treaties like Paris Accords, and things like that. So broadly, the rules are set like prohibit the use of force, which is emphasized by UN, and trade without discrimination is emphasized by WTO. So all these are rules which are well placed, but it's more like the geopolitics and domestic equations of various countries which take precedence many times. So with this recap, we now move to the next part of the workshop. Please welcome His Excellency Mr. Ugo Astuto, the Ambassador to the European Union to India. So he's Italian and is part of Italian diplomatic service since 1991. His career in the Italian Foreign Service spans experience in embassies in Nairobi and London, including an alternate director for Italy in the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. He served as deputy head of mission in the permanent representation in Brussels and in embassy in Delhi. From February 2013 till 2016 July, he was seconded to the European External Action Service in Brussels, first as director for the South and Southeast Asia, and then as deputy managing director for Asia and the Pacific. From July 2016 to September 2019, he was the principal director for Asia and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Rome. He's the ambassador of the European Union to India since October 2019. With this brief introduction, over to you, Ambassador Astuto.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to this session. It's a good opportunity for me to speak about the EU Indo-Pacific strategy recently adopted. So I think we can start from the clear proposition that the Indo-Pacific is emerging as the economic and geopolitical center of gravity. And its growing and political weight makes it an essential piece of the puzzle when it comes to the shaping of the future world order. And when it comes as to how the international community is able to address a number of global challenges. But it's also true that insecurity and tensions are also on the rise. We've seen an increasingly erratic world scenario threatening the stability and the prospects of the region. Now, it's a fact that the European Union and the Indo-Pacific are already highly interconnected. The EU is a top investor and the leading provider of development cooperation in the region. And we are also one of the region's largest trading partners. In short, the European Union has its own stake in the Indo-Pacific and its prosperity and stability. And the European Union is already a significant player, a significant actor in the region, in the development of the region. Let me put this into context with some basic figures. The Indo-Pacific and the European Union together hold over 70% of global trade. As of today, the Indo-Pacific is the second largest destination for EU exports. And the region is home to 4 of the EU top 10 trading partners. When it comes to India specifically, India is number 10 in our list of trading partners. And the EU as a whole is India's 3rd largest trading partner. The EU as a bloc, with its 27 member states, is the largest trading bloc in the world. And we are vitally dependent on maritime traffic and on the stability of the Indo-Pacific Sea routes. Around 40% of the EU foreign trade passes through the South China Sea. So maintaining regional stability is very much in our interest. But it's not just about trade and about economics. Ultimately, what happens in the Indo-Pacific will have profound consequences for global security and prosperity. The future of the region will affect all of us, including globally, including in Europe. So you see that the Indo-Pacific concept is gaining prominence worldwide, and you have got a number of national strategies being published. The EU strategy is a vision of cooperation and partnership. We want to foster solutions to common challenges, and we want to contribute to the stability and prosperity of the region. And we want to do this obviously in partnership with our friends in the Indo-Pacific. Our approach is an inclusive approach. We are ready to work with all partners in areas where we share principles, we share values, or we have converging interests. The EU engagement aims at maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific for all, building strong partnerships, and And we have already long-standing ties with the whole region. We want to build upon these existing ties and expand them. At the same time, obviously, the European Union will continue to protect its interests and to promote its values. And the values that underpin the very EU constructions are also at the heart of the EU external projection. So democracy, human rights, multilateralism, and the rules-based system of world governance based on respect for international law, and notably the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So the EU approach is designed to promote a rules-based international order, a level playing field, particularly when it comes to trade, and an open and fair environment for trade and investment, while at the same time addressing the challenge of climate change, biodiversity loss, and supporting connectivity. The European Union is a market-based economy. We are an open society, and our interaction with the rest of the world reflects these very basic principles. Now, the EU strategy highlights 7 priority areas where we wish to intensify cooperation with partners in the region. Let me mention them briefly. The first area is sustainable and inclusive prosperity, in the sense that we want to deepen our trade links with the Indo-Pacific region. And we want to work with partners to strengthen secure and resilient supply chains. The second basket of interest is a green transition. We want to work together to fight climate change, biodiversity loss, and we want to promote clean energy. There is an all-round priority, and we as European Union, we are fully engaged into this transition through the Green Deal, and we are ready to share our experience here. We believe we have a lot to offer. Third basket, ocean governance. So we will work with Indo-Pacific partners to ensure the sustainable management of the ocean resources which are increasingly scarce and require appropriate protection. Fourth basket, digital governance. We want to enhance digital partnership with the Indo-Pacific, supporting a human-centric digital transition. That's important for us as a democracy, as an open society. We want to foster a model in the digital transition which reflects these values and principles. Another important basket, connectivity. We will work with Indo-Pacific partners that, like India, share our vision of connectivity. We want a connectivity which is sustainable in environmental terms, but also social and economic terms. A connectivity which is comprehensive and rules-based. The sixth basket is on security and defense, and we wish to promote an open and rules-based regional security architecture, enhancing naval deployments and boosting partners' maritime capacity. And finally, but very importantly, human security. We wish to reinforce our support to healthcare systems, for instance, and pandemic preparedness, particularly for least developed countries in the Indo-Pacific region. So, all in all, I think the basic message is that we are ready and we are keen to step up our engagement. And it's an open invitation to our partners in the region to address common challenges together with us. Climate change, the digital transition, the defense of multilateralism, upholding international law, and defending shared values. When it comes specifically to relations between the EU and India, well, I'm happy to say that our strategic partnership is gaining momentum and substance. And partnerships such as the one that the EU has with India are the cornerstone of the implementation of the EU Indo-Pacific strategy. And clearly, the EU and India have very similar approaches to the Indo-Pacific in a number of ways. Points of convergence include our focus on inclusiveness and a strong emphasis on multilateral cooperation and respect for international. Our convergence of interest between the EU and India is clear when it comes to the Indo-Pacific, because we want the region to stay open, stable, and rules-based. We are natural partners, I believe, in many of the areas mentioned in the EU strategy, from trade and connectivity to the green transition and the digital transformation. Just as India is a key partner in combating COVID-19, as we speak today, and in preparing for possible future health emergencies. Last May, our leaders met, 27 member states and Prime Minister Modi, and decided to relaunch the negotiation on a free trade agreement, as well as to start new negotiation on investment protection agreement and on an agreement on geographical indication. Well, this is in itself an important step with huge potential for both our economies. And this fits very well with our ambitions to deepen trade links with the region as an expression of our Indo-Pacific strategy. In May, our leaders also launched the EU-India connectivity partnership. Well, I think this is highly relevant in the Indo-Pacific context. This partnership will be an important part of the EU new global connectivity strategy, which is called the Global Gateway. The Indo-Pacific and the world need quality infrastructure. And just like India, what we want to create is, we want to create new links, not dependencies, with our engagement in connectivity. As to our joint efforts between the EU and India on security and defense, I think this is also picking up. We have recently had a naval exercise between the Indian Navy and the EU Atalanta operation off the coast of Somalia. And we want to do more of this. We have intensified our policy dialogues on security and defense. And earlier this year, we have had our first ever EU-India dialogue on maritime security. We shall repeat it. And alongside it, we hold dialogues on counterterrorism and cyber security. We have agreed to hold a broader consultation on security and defense, and the first meeting of the sort will take place early next year. In a nutshell, I think the cooperation between the EU and India has been gaining breadth and depth over the past few years. And the EU Indo-Pacific strategy adds an important dimension to this robust strategic partnership. I definitely believe that the European Union and India together can make a real difference in the region in the pursuit of global common goods. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, sorry for that, all this thing. Just wanted to thank Ambassador for putting forward EU's intentions to increase its engagement with Indo-Pacific region, especially talking about aspects like trade links, climate change, digital partnerships, and human security, and many other aspects that he touched upon. So now we all move on to the question answer session. I mean, a very brief session with him. Just a couple of questions to start with. I think Anjal has a question. Can you ask it, Anjal, or should I read it for you?
No, I can ask directly. Thank you so much, Sridhar. And Ambassador, very nice presentation. And thank you so much for flagging some of the issues from the European Union's perspective. My question to you is, how do you envision the collaboration between EU and India, especially on the areas of clean energy and technology transfer in clean energy in the light of the climate change debate that we're having? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, as you may know, the executive vice president of the Commission responsible for the Green Deal was in Delhi last week for 3 days, and he had extensive discussions with a number of interlocutors here in India, ministerial peers, but also civil society and experts. I mean, I think what's obvious that we start from the same proposition, which is the IPCC report is very clear. Unless we take action, and we take urgent action, we risk facing an increase in temperature worldwide, which would prove catastrophic. I mean, we are already seeing extreme weather events, be it in India or in Europe. If we don't manage to achieve our Paris agreement targets, well, we may see much worse than that. So from this proposition, I think what follows is the clear intention of the EU and India to work together for the green transition. We need to change the paradigm of growth. We need to achieve growth not at the expense of the environment, but through nature-based solutions. So we need to achieve growth with an approach which is fully consistent with our respect for the environment and our objectives in terms of the fight against climate change. And the EU and India already have a number of dialogues ongoing. We have a clean energy and climate partnership, where together we discuss precisely how to go about the green transition. Obviously, we need to find cost-effective alternatives to fossil fuels. I mean, in Europe, we are phasing out coal. We have set a clear target. We want to be a climate neutral continent by 2050, and we want to reduce emissions by 55% by 2030. In order to do that, it's going to be a multifaceted. There will be a number of actions to be taken, but the phasing out of coal and the transition towards a more sustainable energy mix is crucial. But I think the same applies to India. And obviously, we have noted with great interest the massive investment in solar, the 450 gigawatt objective. So we can work together on that. We can exchange best practices on solar, but also on hydrogen. I mean, you have noted the launch by the Prime Minister of the new hydrogen mission. I think that's another topic of interest for both you and India, where we can work together. And then we come also to topics such as water management. We need to address the pollution in our rivers. And we need to use effectively a resource which is becoming scarcer, water. And that's true for Europe and for India as well. And then you have the whole chapter of urban sustainability. And we see the figures, and India is going to urbanize rapidly in the coming decade. So India is going to face real challenges in order to accommodate the needs of this new urban population in a way which is consistent with the protection of the environment. And then again, I think Europe has gone through a similar process in the past decades. And we can share what we did right and what we did wrong, and see how best we can proceed for the future. So to make a long story short, I mean, indeed, it's a priority for both the European Union and India. We have already started working together, and I think we shall do more.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There's one question from Mr. Mahesh Kumar. He asks, when it comes to EU strategy for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region, what is your stand on a disputed Taiwan issue that escalated between China and US?
Well, look, our strategy is a strategy of cooperation, not of confrontation. It's a strategy which wants to be inclusive, similar to India's Indo-Pacific strategy, actually. And we will adapt our cooperation according to specific areas, but with partners with whom we share principles, values, and mutual interests. But when it comes to China specifically, but the EU approach to China is multifaceted. We continue to see China as a negotiating partner, an important partner, for instance, when it comes to climate change, in finding global solution for climate change. The cooperation of China is important. But China is also a competitor, and it's also a systemic rival. So what we need to do is to continue to engage with China as a key economic and political player, without whom we cannot address global challenges, such as climate change. But at the same time, we will continue to push back in areas where there are fundamental disagreements with China, first and foremost on human rights.
Thank you. There's one question which asks, could you elaborate on how the EU-ASEAN cooperation is shaping up? Because ASEAN is central to the Indo-Pacific cooperation.
Yes, thank you. I think there is another area of convergence between the Indo-Pacific strategy of India and the EU vision of the Indo-Pacific, because we both recognize the centrality of ASEAN in the Indo-Pacific. That's why we have been developing our cooperation with ASEAN over the years, and it culminated last year, I think, with the statement of establishing a strategic partnership between the European Union and India. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that we want to strengthen our relation with ASEAN as a whole, as a group, as well as the individual member states on practically all of the topics we mentioned earlier. We want to establish closer trade links with ASEAN. We need to work with ASEAN on climate change. We want to discuss with ASEAN the future perspective of the digital transition. So all these facets come into play, and we recognize ASEAN as an essential partner in our endeavor to contribute to peace, stability, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific.
Thank you. One last question from my side, if it is okay with you. Could you throw some light on EU Commission's investment in education sector, which is especially impacting the countries strongly connected to the Indo-Pacific?
Yes. The investment in education is part and parcel, let's say, of our external projection. It has been so now for many years. And I'm sure some of the names of our programs have become household names. Let me mention Erasmus, Erasmus Mundus. So it first started as a program, as a domestic program for European students. But now in its new version, Erasmus Mundus, it also includes students from the rest of the world. And actually, Indian students have been very present in the program, and quite a number have been traveling to Europe, studying in EU academic establishments. And then you have got programs directed at fostering cooperation between research institutions. And again, many of these names are now well known also to the general public. Marie Curie, the Marie Curie program, the Erasmus, the Horizon Europe program. It was called Horizon 2020 until last year. So these programs I see these programs as important in the implementation of one of the baskets I mentioned earlier of the EU Indo-Pacific strategy, the one concerning the human-centric approach to development, the people-to-people context. So you can rest assured this will continue and remain pretty prominent in our external projection vis-a-vis the Indo-Pacific.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your sparing your time.